Let's go straight across now to Ambassador Arun Singh, former ambassador to the United States, with us, and currently a non-resident senior fellow at Carnegie, India, joining us from New Delhi. Thanks very much, Ambassador, for being here. I have to begin by asking you for your assessment of where things stand right now, the current situation, and what you make of the strategy on part of the U.S. president.
So clearly we are at a difficult moment. As of now, although obviously conversations are going on between the two governments, we are not seeing a clear path out of this particular situation. And I think, although you spoke about, people talking about punishment on India, I would say partly, of course, it creates difficulties for certain sectors in India's exports, labor-intensive sectors, gems and jewelry, leather, textiles, shrimps exports. But I would say it is more a sanction or a negative impact that President Trump has done on the US-India relationship, and less on India itself. Because for a long, long time, over the past 25 years, both the governments have been making a very determined effort to consolidate the relationship. Before that, the US was seen in India as an unreliable and coercive partner. And they were gradually coming out of that image. But by the action that President Trump has taken now, entirely driven by his own domestic politics, will again resurrect in India the feeling that the US is a coercive and unreliable partner. So at some stage when we start coming out of this particular situation, and I'm confident we will, because there is a lot of convergence in the interests of the two countries. For example, if you saw, despite the present difficulties, on Monday, an intersessional official level meeting of the 2+2 dialogue was held. Now, the 2+2 is a combined meeting of the foreign and defense ministries of the two countries, which India has with very few countries, and US also has very few countries. That is a signal that you see a certain level of strategic convergence. So they're continuing with that. Again, from reports that we see, functional level meetings of the Quad are continuing. Now, the Indian Foreign Secretary had recently done a briefing on the Prime Minister's forthcoming visit to Japan. And again, he spoke about the importance of Quad. And there, India and the US are important members there. So there is a lot of strategic convergence in the interests of the two countries. And for instance, when the US ambassador to India, the forthcoming ambassador, was announced, in the tweets or statement that he put out, the Secretary of State of the US, Marco Rubio, he said India is one of our most important countries. So they recognize that. And so, both will make an effort to come out of this particular situation. But even as they come out of that, policy analysts, policy makers in India will recall that US had once again shown itself to be a coercive and unreliable partner. So even as they rebuild, there will be much more of hedging in the coming period. So it's certainly a loss to India. It's a loss to the US. It's a loss to the US-India relationship. And everybody will have to factor that in.
Right. What do you make of the messaging from New Delhi as of now? It has, of course, been making its stance clear. And where do you see things headed in the immediate few days from here onwards?
So I think, as I see it from outside, I'm not in the government anymore. So as I see it from the outside, the messaging from New Delhi seems to be clear, that don't unnecessarily escalate the situation, don't exacerbate the situation, but hold firm on your red lines. And so, the Prime Minister himself, the Commerce Minister, they've spoken about how it's not possible for India to make the kind of compromises on agriculture, dairy, that the US has been asking. So those are the certain red lines for India. So hold firm on that and widen your options. So again, the External Affairs Minister, for example, was speaking at a public event recently when he was posed the same question. And he said, looking ahead, there will be further emphasis on diversification, both in terms of inputs that come into for production, also in terms of the export markets. So I think we will see that. And in your opening frame, there was a reference to an enhanced focus on new markets. So I think that effort will be there. But I think, having said all that, we have to recall that the US will remain an essential partner for India. It is our largest trading partner, is the largest economy globally, is the largest consumer market, is the largest foreign direct investment partner for India. Indian companies have invested more than $40 billion in the US and have a presence across all 50 states in the US. At 5.4 million, the US is the largest single country presence of Indian origin diaspora. So there is huge linkage. And if you look at technology partnerships, again, US is our most important partner. China is putting restrictions on technology partnership. Right. Russia is very strong in defense technologies, but not in civilian technologies. So US will remain an essential partner. And also for the US, they will probably look at doing a trade deal with China. Even if they do that, they recognize that their main economic, technological, and military competitor is China. And all so right. long as that competition remains, they will find India an important partner.
All right, Ambassador, we're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for being here.